What is up, everybody? Welcome back to RacingDudes.com. Welcome back to another week of the Kentucky Derby update. Just two shows remaining here in 2025. This is one of them. We'll have a little show for you next week as well. It's basically going to be a recap and kind of not only just a recap of John White and I's top fives, but a recap of what happened last week. There's nothing coming up this week as far as Kentucky Derby prep races return. Those races will return January 3rd. So next week, we'll kind of take a look ahead at that. So what I'm going to do first is put up on the screen the two races that happened. I'll talk about them a little bit. John White will have some commentary on this as well when we get to the top five, so I will read that off for you as well. I'll lead off with mine here and start with the gun runner where Chip Honcho got the job done for Steve Asmussen. Paco Lopez aboard here, pays $980 for the win because the bettors really hammered Liberty National, who gets second for Kenny McPeak with Brian Hernandez aboard, and the Mike Maker trained Ohio bred Crown the Buckeye finishes third in this race. 81 buyer speed figure for Chip Honcho, and it looked it. Like I always say, always watch the race live. I try not to get too big of an opinion one way or another until then I go back and watch the replay of the race later that night. Then I kind of form an opinion based on my eyes, and then I go look at the analytics of everything after that. And watching it live, I wasn't impressed. Watching the replay, I was less impressed. The analytics kind of back it up. I think an 81 buyer is about right. I kind of predicted to my buddy Paul that it'd be an 80. It just didn't look great visually. They were really stumbling home late. I think if the race was a little bit shorter, Crown the Buckeye finishes the race really well, wins, and we go, hey, that's a pretty nice horse. But at mile and 16th, especially those last 100, let's the last 16th of a mile, let's say, he was gassed. He was really getting tired, and Chip Honcho, was able to wear him down, give him credit. I really thought, the race was setting up very nicely for somebody for coming from behind, only because it felt like those front runners were tired. So it's nice that Liberty National gets second. It didn't really do much for me overall in the grand scheme of things. So I think he should have won that race. Honestly, if he was the horse that the bettors thought he was for sure. I scratched into Chip Honcho for the win because I had Mesquite on top. And I do sit here and wonder today, boy, if Mesquite was who I thought he was going into the race, would he have gotten there? Another closer just like Liberty National. But Mesquite had to scratch, unfortunately. And I guess maybe fortunately, because I did scratch in to the winner. But even though I had the winner, I'm not impressed moving forward. Don't think I'm going to be betting this one moving forward. Just not a lot out of the gun runner. And I really thought we would get one, maybe two nice performances. Just for my money right now, I didn't really see it in that race. So again, I always preface it, especially this early in the year when we do these videos and recap these races, it's very early, right? Like this, like horses can improve off of this. Horses might move forward and run a lot better, but just kind of based on what I saw, I did not think the gun runner was that strong of a race. Let's go to the Remington Park Springboard Mile next. Again, I don't think this was a great race either. I'll start by saying that Express Kid gets the job done gate to wire fashion from the 12 hole. This is a horse that just came out of left field, and you get $71 winner here. Second longest shot ever to win the Remington Park Springboard Mile. Longest shot, Texas Bling defeating Will Take Charge. How about that? That was a hell of a race. Go back and look at Texas Bling beating Will Take Charge in that race for the Springboard Mile. Express Kid receives an 85 buyer speed figure for the effort. So 4 points higher than what we saw at Fairgrounds. Much better than any buyer he had ever received. Ran a great race. Like I said, got out in front and just kind of said, see ya, and was able to get there and get the job done. My top pick was Arctic Beast. I thought he ran okay. Honestly, I thought he would get the trip that the 12 got. That was not the case. But look, he had every chance in the world down the stretch to run down the 12, and Express Kid just would not let him do it. So, good on the winner, and I thought Arctic Beast ran well. Of course, I bet a 1 over 4-9 exacta because the 4 and the 9 were the two Oklahoma breds that I really kind of liked in this race. The 4, a Royal American trained by C.R. Trout. I mean, he ran well. He ran kind of like I thought he would. I didn't think he'd be good enough to win, but he ran well. And the 9 Western Man, just second start of his career, I thought he ran well. I think those are two nice Oklahoma breds. They're not Kentucky Derby horses. I don't think Arctic Beast, the New York bred, is a Kentucky Derby horse either. I don't think Express Kid really is either. So I do think, it's kind of a fun race. And and fun to think about. Man, I can't believe that horse. And John has some more information on this horse I'll read in just a second. Kind of an improbable winner, so to speak. Improbable, a horse that drove me crazy during his career, by the way. But anyway, an improbable winner for sure. But Express Kid gets the job done. Not much of an impact for me in the Kentucky Derby Trail. It was a fun race, kind of fun race to watch. I will say that. All right, let's get to the top fives here. A little bit of a quicker show because we just don't have a whole lot to talk about coming up this week. I will do mine first, and then I will do John's and read you John's commentary. So number 5, and by the way, there's no changes either John and I's list. So I'll go through them fairly fast here. Litmus test number 5 for me again this week. Just a horse that I thought ran very well last time out in the Los Alamitos Futurity, better than I thought he would, finished up stronger maybe than I thought he would, and kind of backs up. Hey, he's been facing really good horses and running okay against them. Maybe better than okay, actually, in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. He backed it up, the Los Alamitos Futurity. That was a good race, so I'm proud of him there. I don't know if I'm proud of him, but I was impressed by him, I guess I should say there. The 4, for me, number 4 is Renegade. Oddly enough, this horse could run in a maiden special weight. He crossed a while first in a maiden special weight 2 races back, but was disqualified. Went back and ran in the rims and ran a really good second in the rims. And he was short on works. He had missed a couple works going into that race. And Todd Pletcher kind of speculated that maybe that cost him the race, or at least cost him a better chance. So we'll see where he shows up next. He went down to Florida. I think Renegade's a pretty darn good horse. Keep an eye out for him. Number 3, Mr. AP. I thought, hey, if Litmus Test came back and won the Los Alamitos Futurity, Mr. AP finished ahead of him in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. He finished second, and I thought he ran really well that day, honestly. And his races since stretching out to 2 turns have been great. So, a horse that has some knocks. He was in a maiden claiming race, and he had some bad races on his past performances. The races that really matter are the 2-turn races when we're talking about this specific video. He's looked pretty good in both of those, so I'll put him at number 3. Number 2 is Paladin, the winner of the Rims and Stake. Chad Brown said this could be a serious horse here for sure, and I kind of agree with him. I thought he ran very well in the Rims and to get the job done. Was able to get revenge on Renegade, even though he technically beat Renegade as far as the tote board went 2 races back, but Renegade finished ahead of him. Horse racing, you got to love it. But anyway, Paladin number 2 for me. I really liked both of those efforts that we just referenced. And then Ted Noffey number 1, and I think it's just, I mean, at this point, 4 for 4, and 3 grade 1 wins. I can't really poke any holes in him. The one thing that I think people talked about, and we mentioned it last week, is hey, that Breeders' Cup Juvenile, maybe it's not that good. 1 horse has ran back from it so far. It was a win. Yes, he beat his stablemates, and you could go on and on. Maybe he's still not that good, and I would listen, and maybe that would be true, honestly, even though the analytics say they ran a good race. I could see the other side of it. But look, all you can do is race against who you have, who they line you up with, and you had a comeback winner from the Breeders' Cup Juvenile already. So all signs are really good for the 3-time grade 1 winner, and should be, you never know about horse racing voters, but should be the unanimous 2-year-old of the year on the male side. All right, Litmus Test 5, Renegade 4, Mr. AP 3, Paladin 2, Ted Noffey 1. All right, let's get to John's and get to the commentary. I know that's why everybody's watching. Number 5, Napoleon Solo for John. I dropped him off. He would be number 6, basically, but John's got him there at number 5. Litmus Test number 4, Renegade number 3, Paladin number 2, Ted Noffey number 1. So we're pretty similar with our list. He does not have Mr. AP in his top 5, but he has Napoleon Solo. So it's pretty similar at this point. It's always hard to rank him at this point as well, but that's where we're at. All right, John White, so nice every week to send me a commentary for you guys. And you could read a list, but I feel like this really is nice of him to send, because it kind of, if you read his old Express Bet articles, this is kind of a summary version of that, which I appreciate, John. I wouldn't want to read the whole article that you used to write, but 4 or 5 paragraphs, that sounds good. So, all right, here's John White's analysis from last weekend. He says, in terms of the top 5 this week, there are no changes. Neither the Springboard Mile nor the Gunrunner made any impact. Express Kid was able to spring an upset in the Springboard Mile. Leading all the way, he prevailed by 6 1/4 lengths at odds of 34-1. Express Kid was bred in California and sold for just $2,000 at an Arizona auction. He races for a resident of Washington State, And now he has won a $300,000 race in Oklahoma. I'll jump in for a second. What a crazy, cool story that is. Back to John. When examining Express Kid's pedigree, keep in mind that the dam is by street since the 2007 Kentucky Derby winner. However, to be perfectly candid, even though the Express Kid story is quite a good one, he would not make my Kentucky Derby top 10 or even my top 20, let alone my top 5. As for the gun runner, this race had 4 horses battling it out to the wire. Chip Honcho got the job done and deserves a thumbs up for that. But the bottom line is nothing happened in the Springboard Mile or the Gun Runner to move the needle this week regarding my Kentucky Derby top 5. John finishes with this. Meanwhile, at this time, permit me to take the opportunity to wish happy holidays to everyone that is watching this video, especially to all the horse players. Couldn't agree more with that. Happy holidays to all of you for watching this video. We appreciate you guys. We've got a good little following that does this every week. This is my favorite video of the week. Every single week we do it. So echo John's comments there. Happy holidays, everybody. Certainly appreciate everybody watching this every single week. And with that, nothing to preview coming up for next week, or this weekend, I should say. We'll be back next week with previews for that. So like I said, with that, that'll do it for this week's show. Thanks so much, everybody, for watching this. Happy holidays. I won't wish you Happy New Year's on this show. I can do it on the next show because we'll be right back next week. So, all right, everybody have a good rest of your week. We'll see you next week. Thanks, everybody, for watching.